I still remember the sound of their laughter when the car pulled away. Sharp, careless, echoing in the heat. They said it was a joke, but as the dust burned my throat and the road stretched empty for miles, I realized something I should have known long before that moment. They hadn't left me by mistake. They left because it was easy, because I was easier to forget than to love. My name is Clementine, and that was the day I stopped waiting for anyone to come back. The sun hit the earth like fire. Heat waves shimmered across the cracked asphalt as I stepped out of the tiny gas station, dust curling around my shoes. Trent had told me to grab him a bottle of water, his voice soft, playful, the way he always sounded when he wanted something. When I turned back, the parking space where our SUV had been was empty, just an oil stain and the distant hum of engines fading down the road. For a second, I thought maybe I'd mixed up the row. Maybe he'd moved the car to the shade. Then I heard it. Laughter, far off, carried by the wind. His laugh, high, familiar, cruel in a way I'd never really heard before. I ran, the sand slicing at my ankles. "Trent! Wait! Trent!" My voice cracked in the heat. The sound went nowhere, lost in the open desert. Inside the store, the clerk barely looked up. Outside, I stared at the road until my vision blurred. My phone buzzed once before the battery died. A text from him. "Don't be mad, babe. Just a prank." My throat closed. That stupid emoji smiled up at me while the screen dimmed to black. 10 minutes? 30? 2 hours? No headlights? No one came. By the time I stopped counting, the sun was beginning to fall, the air still heavy with silence. A minivan slowed on the shoulder. The window rolled down, and a woman's voice cut through the emptiness. "Sweetheart, did they just leave you here?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded. She unlocked the door. "Get in. Nobody deserves to be stranded like this." As we pulled back onto the highway, the gas station shrank to a blur in the mirror. Somewhere in the van, I caught the faint scent of dried lavender. It lingered in the air, soft, calm, alive. I watched the horizon swallow the road ahead and whispered, almost to myself, "I don't know where I'm going. I just know I'm not going back." Some days, what saves you isn't kindness. It's the last flicker of faith burning out. The drive to Silver Springs felt endless. The farther we went, the more the desert gave way to quiet hills and empty roads. By the time Nora's van rolled into town, the sun had dipped behind the mountains. Silver Springs was small, just a handful of faded houses, a diner, and a single bus stop with a flickering light. I borrowed a payphone outside the post office, the kind that smelled like dust and rusted coins. My fingers hesitated over the keypad. There was only one number I still remembered, Walter Mendez. He answered on the second ring. His voice hadn't changed, steady, low, the kind that always sounded like he knew the truth before you said it. I told him nothing, only where I was. 2 hours later, his old pickup pulled up beside me. He didn't ask what happened. He never did. He just opened the door and said, "If you've come back, stay. Let the wind take care of the rest." The house sat in the middle of a lavender field, the blooms pale under the dying light. The air smelled sweet, like forgiveness I didn't deserve. That night, I slept for 3 days straight, dreamless, for the first time in years. When I woke, the world felt slower. Walter brewed coffee while the bees hummed outside. I washed my face in the rain barrel and caught my reflection in the water, sunburned, cracked, alive. "I'm still here," I whispered, "and that's something he'll never control." That evening, Walter placed a few papers on the table. "If you need a clean start, take my name. No one needs to know who you were." I signed without hesitation, Clementine Mendez. The past ended in ink. Later, while sorting through the old bedroom, I found a worn notebook from high school. Between its pages, a letter in my mother's handwriting. "Don't let anyone turn your smile into their prop. If they do, leave, even if you don't know where you're going." The paper smelled faintly of lavender. The words blurred as a single tear hit the word, leave. That night, Walter and I sat on the porch. He handed me a mug of hot cocoa. Neither of us spoke. The sky stretched dark and endless above the purple fields, a single owl calling in the distance. For the first time in years, I felt peace. And the silence, it was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. 6 months passed quietly, the kind of quiet that seeps into your bones and teaches you to breathe again. I built routines, planting, pruning, sketching irrigation lines on crumpled paper. At the weekend market, they called me Clem, the lavender girl. No one asked where I came from. They just asked, tea or coffee, and smiled when I said tea. I learned how to smile back, genuinely this time. I stopped wearing the ring. I stopped saying we. There was only I, and somehow that word felt enough. One rainy night, thunder rumbling over the hills. I opened my laptop for the first time since the desert. On impulse, I typed his name, Trent Draper. The top result, prank gone wrong, my wife lost it. The thumbnail froze on my face, mouth open, eyes wild. The clip played, my voice calling his name, his laughter echoing. 4.2 million views, comments scrolling fast. She's overreacting. It's just a joke. I didn't cry. I didn't even flinch. This isn't pain anymore, I whispered. This is evidence. I closed the browser, deleted the app, and opened my old journal. In a shaky hand, I wrote one line. One day, I'll take back my name. I set a bundle of dried lavender on the table, its scent filling the room like a quiet promise. The kind you make not out of anger, but out of survival. I wasn't looking for revenge. I just wanted back the one thing I'd given away too easily, my own respect. The market buzzed with chatter and country music as I lined jars of lavender along the table. A sudden crash broke through the hum. Someone had fallen. A man lay at my feet, blood seeping through his blue shirt. I pressed a towel to his shoulder. "Can you hear me?" He gripped my wrist, whispered, "Elias, Ward," then went still. Walter helped me take him home. By morning he woke, staring at the lavender hanging from the rafters. "This smell," he said quietly. I once tried to forget it. I didn't ask why. Days passed. He fixed fences, the leaky faucet, the broken lights. We didn't speak much, but in the silence, I saw something familiar. Someone else who knew what it was to be left behind. One night, his phone rang. A man's voice crackled through. "Did you find her yet? Trent wants a report." Elias paused, then said, "I don't do that anymore," and hung up. The next morning, he handed me a flash drive. "It's information about you. I never opened it. Want it?" I shook my head. "If you didn't look, neither will I." That was the first time I trusted someone again. That night, I wrote, "Maybe he was sent to find me, or to remind me I was still worth finding." Walter turned on the TV. Brielle's voice rang out, bright and cruel. "Welcome to Prank Your Partner. Remember when my brother left his wife in the desert?" Laughter filled the studio. My face flashed on screen. His voice joked, "Good luck finding your way back." The room spun. My glass cracked in my hand. By morning, justice for Clem was everywhere. Half the internet forgave him. The other half wanted me to speak. No one asked how it felt. Outside, I stared across the lavender field. "The whole world's talking about me," I said. Elias replied softly, "But none of them are listening." Later, a journalist called, asking for my side. I said no. Elias looked at me. "If you stay quiet, they'll keep laughing at the next woman." That night, I opened the video again, froze it on Trent's grin, and whispered, "You don't get to tell this anymore." Then I typed one email. "I'll take the Santa Fe job, if it's still open." This time, I wasn't hiding. I was stepping toward the noise. 3 years had passed since I'd left Silver Springs behind. When I stepped off the train in Santa Fe, the air smelled of pine and fresh paint, the kind of scent that hinted at new beginnings. No one here knew who I'd been before. To them, I was just Clementine Mendez, hired to design a memorial garden for fallen firefighters. Elias met me at the site, his expression serious. I told them not to film, he said quietly. But there's a documentary crew. About what? People rebuilding their lives. I nodded, unaware that among those faces behind the cameras was a ghost I thought I'd buried. When the meeting began, a familiar voice cut through the room. Thank you for being here today. I'm honored to support the Healing Heroes Foundation. I froze. Trent Draper stood at the podium, smiling that rehearsed smile, the same one he'd used to sell laughter built on my humiliation. My pulse slowed to ice. Afterward, he cornered me by the doorway. Clem, you look good. You've changed. Not because of you. I'm sorry. For losing me, or for losing your audience? Before he could answer, Elias appeared beside me, hand resting lightly on my shoulder. Trent's face stiffened. For the first time, he looked small. By morning, photos of us were online. Wife from viral prank reunites with ex. Half the comments praised forgiveness. The rest accused Trent of using me for PR. That night, a letter appeared at the gate in Trent's handwriting. Just 5 minutes, no cameras, no audience. I tore it up and let the wind scatter the pieces, but sleep never came. Anger and pity wrestled until dawn. A few days later, Elias found someone taking photos near my hotel. He set up small cameras around my room. We're not fighting a man anymore, he said. We're fighting the machine that feeds on people like you. I stared straight into one of the lenses and whispered, if they want me scared, they're too late. The night heat hung thick over Silver Springs. I'd gone home for a short rest. Walter was cutting lavender by lantern light. Elias still in Santa Fe. Around 1 a.m., the smell hit. Sharp, chemical, wrong. Outside, the field glowed orange. Flames raced through rows of lavender, snapping dry stems like bones. Walter shouted for water. Together we fought the fire with hoses and buckets, but the wind was faster. A small explosion burst from the tool shed, lighting the sky. When it was over, half the field lay blackened. I stood watching the smoke drift. It burned more than the flowers, I whispered. It burned the peace I fought for. Police found boot prints along the fence, men's size, same make Trent used to wear. Any enemies? Ma'am? No, just people who thought I was a punchline. Online. Trent denied everything. I'd never hurt her. Brielle posted, some folks just can't move on. Threats filled my inbox. My center's page was hacked. By dawn, Elias had driven through the night. He wrapped me in his arms as smoke still curled from the soil. They don't just want to destroy you, he said. They want to destroy what healed you. If they think I'll run. I said, voice trembling. They forgot I survived the desert. Later. Elias checked the security footage. On the grainy screen, a figure moved through the field, a slim build, baseball cap, gas can in hand. As the person turned, the light caught a tattoo on the neck, a snake coiled around a crescent moon. Brielle's tattoo. We took the evidence to the police. Brielle claimed deep fake. The internet roared in confusion. Elias looked at me. She's not worth your fear, but she's worth ending. That afternoon, I sat across from a lawyer and signed the complaint. I'm not doing this for revenge, I said quietly. I'm doing it because silence keeps people like them alive. The pen scratched across the paper. My hand didn't shake. The fight had already begun. The courthouse in Santa Fe buzzed with voices and camera flashes. Reporters lined the hallway, microphones poised like weapons. On the wall, a digital screen displayed the words, Draper versus Mendez, emotional defamation case. I straightened my navy blazer as the crowd parted. Elias walked beside me, silent but steady. I drew a breath deep enough to keep my knees from shaking. Today, I whispered to myself, I'm not the victim. I'm the witness. Inside. The trial began. My attorney outlined the case, how the gas station prank video had resurfaced, racking up 60 million views, how Brielle's podcast mocked me by name, how my silence had become their marketing. When the judge asked if I wanted to speak, I stood. My voice carried, calm and clean. I didn't come here for revenge. I came to tell the truth the world laughed over. That day in the desert, I sat for 3 hours in 104-degree heat. No water, no car. I screamed until my voice broke, and they came back only to see how many likes it got. The room went still. Then the video played. The laughter, the gas station, my voice calling for help. I didn't flinch. One tear slid down my cheek, not from pain but release. Trent took the stand next, eyes down. I just thought it was funny. I'm sorry. You're not sorry to me, I said quietly. You're sorry to the audience. You want their forgiveness, not mine. When the lawyer asked if I wanted damages, I shook my head. No money, just remove the videos. Make them apologize on record, to me and to anyone ever turned into a joke. The judge tapped the gavel once. Request granted. Trent's shoulders sagged. Brielle whispered, trembling. I thought it was just marketing. I looked at her. You never learned that a laugh can kill, did you? Outside, flashes exploded. Trent ran after me, voice breaking. Clem, you won! Are you happy now? I turned. Elias stood behind me, his hand finding mine. Trent froze, his face empty, his body still. For the first time, he saw the difference between performance and peace. I didn't win, I said softly. I just stopped losing. Then I walked into the sunlight, the wind off the desert lifting the hair from my face, and kept walking forward. A month after the trial, the noise faded. The headlines disappeared. Hashtags died out, and the world moved on to its next scandal. Trent deleted his channel. Brielle ended her podcast. When I returned to Silver Springs, the lavender fields were sprouting green again. Walter rebuilt the shed plank by plank, while Elias fixed the irrigation lines. The scent of new growth hung heavy in the air. Smoke and soil, and something like peace. One morning, a letter waited on the porch. The handwriting delicate and uncertain. To Clementine Mendez, B. Inside, Brielle wrote, I didn't understand shame until the world laughed at me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know, I understand now. I folded the paper, tucked it in the drawer beside my mother's old note. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. Forgiveness, I said quietly, is my right, not my duty. Weeks later, a news headline flashed across my phone. Trent Draper sells assets, leaves the country to find himself. No one seemed to care. At least he finally learned how to leave, I murmured. 5 years too late. With the fire long gone, we built something new. The Quiet Garden Initiative, a place for women who'd been mocked or humiliated online to start again. I taught them to dry lavender, to blend teas, to breathe through the silence. Flowers don't need applause, I told them. They just need light. A reporter came one afternoon, camera in hand. If he came back to apologize, she asked, what would you say? I smiled. I don't need his apology to be at peace. I just need his silence so others can speak. Elias snapped a photo of me with the students, sunlight spilling across my face. The picture went viral with one caption. She built peace from ashes. And for the first time, the internet laughed softly, not in mockery, but in respect. Morning light spilled over rows of lavender, their purple haze rippling beneath the hum of bees. The scent drifted through the open window as I poured tea, watching Elias repair the garden hose while Walter read the paper on the porch. I finally understand, I whispered. Happiness isn't about losing the past. It's about the past losing its power to hurt you. On my desk sat an old photo under glass. Me at that gas station, untouched and dust-covered. Beside it, a box of tea labeled Quiet Garden, Healing Through Silence. A student asked, Have you forgiven them? I smiled. Forgiven? Maybe. How else could I bloom? The camera panned wide. I walked through the lavender sea, sunlight warm across my shoulders. Clem, the wind's changing, Elias called. No, I said softly. I've just learned to move with it. 5 years ago, I stood alone in the desert, dust in my lungs and laughter in my ears. Now I stand where lavender grows, and all I can hear is peace. Then came the sound of wind and laughter, light and free.